Hello, thank you very much for tuning into this section of reads. This should be on YouTube channel James 13 Wicca. If you're not seeing it there, that's where it should be. Also, put the decks and dice below if you're looking for that information. If you would like a direct reading, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get into your reading. Hello, Capricorn. Thank you very much for tuning into this week's read. These readings are valid for whenever you come to them. That being said, what do we have for Capricorn? Okay, so far, just quick look. I think something is going to go really well. Exactly why? I have no idea yet. Something is supposed to go really well. I feel like this is more about the perception of it. Okay. Because I feel like you're already on a good track. I think you're already on a good track. And there might be some question marks about, if people are going to be compatible long term, which is question mark, because whoever you're dealing with, I think of Capricorn like you evaluate people pretty well, I thought. And it's kind of like, well, I wouldn't get involved with this type of thing if I didn't think that they could last the test of time. There's a good energy, and it seems to hold the whole way through. Okay, so this Ace of Cups, it's already there. Might be a connection, could be a connection to a person, a job, could be like, I've known a couple really talented Capricorns. The one person I'm thinking of was very talented with woodworking. They could make things happen, and I was just like, that looks really, I don't know how you did it. I was like, I don't know how you did it. That looks really complicated. And they'd explain it, and I was just like, yeah, you're just really gifted and smart, because I don't know how you're making that stay together. That was very interesting. He would make some very elaborate things. I thought it was very interesting. So it could be something like that. Could be something like that. I don't know why I'm coming back to this, but the person I'm thinking with the woodworking, like, it was complicated to me, but he did make the point that he'd been doing this for like years. So he knew all the intricacies and how to get this to work with that, and how to make sure that this stayed where it was supposed to stay, and that was going to have the strength behind it. He knew what he was doing. He had years of experience. He did make that point a couple times. I don't know why I'm throwing that in there, but he had the stability behind it. I just didn't have the backing on it. This is something that I feel the current energy is it like what there's like this little popcorn feeling to it. And when I say popcorn, it's a little like what's going on here, but it's like it shouldn't be that jarring that it's going to throw things off. What's going on here? You're not ready for this. Okay, what does that mean? Something is coming in. A new development is coming in. When I say you're not ready for this, it's not a bad thing. But I also get like, you don't need to do anything. I hate when I say it that way. It might be helpful for you to accept that you need your moment to kind of work into it slowly. It reminds me of a new piece of clay. Where it's cold at first, it's stiff, it's kind of hard to do anything with it at first, and it's kind of like, I need a minute here to kind of work with it. I gotta kind of, like, I have to be careful not to hurt my hands, because it's gotta kind of work with it, warm it up, get used to it, make it malleable so I can kind of shape it into what I want it to shape into. But it's kind of like, I need a moment to get used to it. I need a moment to not only warm up to the situation, but to have the situation warm up to me too. There's a new development coming in. I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's a bad thing, but I do feel like you need your fair moment to really just kind of get used to it. This does not have to be a romance thing. I am going to give like one of those analogies here, though. I think I'm going to have another one after it, but it's like if you're with somebody and you can have kids, the other person, maybe you or one of you, like there's a kid happening. Let's just say that. We're in that part. I keep seeing the guy part of this, where it's a heteronormative couple and the female is pregnant and the guy is like, when he initially finds out, he's like, oh, and he doesn't really have the best reaction to it to start with. But I have seen this play out, so it's kind of like that person needed to kind of like make peace with it, shift their mind over to that new way of living, because that's a big thing. And I think it took that person, like, it's like when the thought was there versus when the baby was there, and then they were better when the baby was there, but like as the baby got older, and I think they were around 2, they were like deep in it. They were all about it. It took them a while to really catch up, but once they were there, they were there. They just needed to make peace with it and get into that role. Fair or not, I remember that happening. I'm not saying anything is fair. I'm not trying to go that route. I'm just trying to say that like sometimes people, it just takes them a minute, and it did take a while for that person, but it's just one of those things where that person, once they locked in and they were like at peace with the role, they're all about it, and they've never looked back. This is a long time ago. Other people I've noticed, like another analogy would be like somebody, I remember this, and this was difficult even for me. A work situation where a whole new unit came in and we had to do things differently. And it was hard to get used to. New systems, new way of doing things, new process. And at first, people didn't like that change. I myself didn't like that change. And it took a good year to get used to it and then feel like, you know what, actually I like this. Actually, this is good. But the change was, like, it took a while to get used to it. And this is one of those things, I think. That's kind of like getting used to it, getting into that energy, and just honestly dealing with it on your terms. Whatever the subject is, and I know I gave a couple different ones here, but I have heard, I don't know if I should say that, well, they're not going to know. The person I'm thinking of, that was very private. They didn't let their partner know that they weren't really warm and fuzzy about the whole idea of having a kid. But they were like, no, this is my responsibility, and I love this person. I want to be with them. But they struggled with it, but they didn't really communicate well with their partner about it. I don't know. It's up to you how you need to deal with this. But I remember they didn't want to do that. They had their reasons, and I'm not here to police anybody's life. I'm not doing that. So they wanted to talk to me about it every now and then, and I just listened, and I did what I could to just help them work through it. I wasn't telling anybody to do anything. At least not at that point, that's for sure. So, however you need to work this out, I feel like you need to make peace with your own, like, this is what works for you thing, if that makes sense. If you need to make this more private internally, then that's your business. If you can have people to talk with, direct or indirect, however that works. Because I feel like whatever this is, it does seem like there's a lot of joy coming in here, a lot of positive energy. But I do feel like whatever this subject is, Capricorn said this to me too, and I feel like it's completely true. The person I'm thinking of said this to me, and it just floored me because they were right. You either pay now or you pay later. It was about a certain subject, but the way, and they were a Capricorn, and they were right. Whatever this subject is, you either pay now or you pay later. In the sense of like, it's kind of like deal with it now, or it's going to be thrust in your face, and you'll deal with it later. It was a Capricorn that said that, and they were dead right. And I wanted to believe otherwise, but they were dead right. You pay now or you pay later. And this subject, if this is hitting, I feel like you already I feel like the majority of you are kind of like, yeah, I know. Because it's opening up new doors that I feel like you're not really familiar with. There's something new here, or at the very least, something you weren't planning on. It's not taking away what you wanted. It's not taking anything away. I feel like it's adding something. Adding something I wasn't considering. It's almost like adding another person to the unit that I didn't think I'd have to deal with. Or being in a relationship and like the other person having kids and like not expecting the kids were going to live with you, and then all of a sudden one at least, or if not more of the kids are going to live with you. It's kind of like, it's not taking away what you had technically, but it's adding something in to have to be dealt with. Unknown territory, something coming in. Getting used to this on your terms is really important, because if you go into it on your terms, however that, I feel like I have to be careful how I make sense of this, because the initial response is like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm not saying anything is fair, but I feel like dealing with the amount you can in the way you can, and then like I've seen people who are more connected with Earth, like they get more involved in their work or their job, or they work on something, and I've seen people do that where I can't deal with that right now, so I'm going to concentrate on making more money or working on this project or getting other things done or helping this person, because right now I can't make peace with it. It's just how some people work. It doesn't make anybody right or wrong. It's just how certain people work, and it's technically not a bad thing, but not everybody's going to agree with that. I understand that. Trying to force yourself forward. A lot of Capricorns in my family. I feel like it's very obvious. Well, you're Capricorn. You don't push a Capricorn because you're not going to win. Capricorn can hold the line like nobody's business. When Capricorn tries to push themselves into something they're really not ready to do, it's going to stagnate. It's going to cause problems. It's going to make you very unhappy. I feel like it will come out one way or another that you're not happy. I feel like that's when Capricorn ends up saying something that maybe they didn't really want to say, but the tension gets so heavy and you keep trying to force yourself forward with something. If you're putting the pressure on yourself, even Capricorn can't push themselves forward without some type of detriment to that, so some type of backlash. If you don't want to move forward, even if you're the one trying to push yourself forward, it has a backlash. It just does. And you know if that's how you feel or not. When you're not ready to deal with it, if you know you're not, find something else that works for your life, that gives you some distance from this as much as you can, as much as you realistically can. And I feel like you can find ways that like, I can do this realistically and get myself away from this subject for a while, or I can distance myself from this subject, maybe not every day, but maybe for a portion of the day, to where I can just feel at peace, and I can just do something that makes sense to me, and I can just let myself put it away for a while. I'm a big fan of Paul McKenna. He's got a lot of books. If you look at, he's a British author. How to Mend Your Broken Heart or something is very helpful. I use the exercises. I don't really remember reading the book, but I think I did. There could be just some exercises in there that'll help you, but there's other ways to like bring down the energy. Meditation helps to bring down the energy, so you can just have your moment of peace and let yourself settle into it on your terms. There might be, I just feel like there's ways to where you can disconnect, at least for a portion of the day, to just not have to deal with certain things, just so you can just relax and let your energy relax. Maybe it could be helping somebody else. I remember a person, she was a mom, and there was something going on where I think there was some of her partner's kids moving into the house, and it was really stressful. And what she did was she found somebody she could help, and she went a couple hours a day. I think it was in the morning. So the other partner would take care of the morning stuff with the kids, and she would go help this other person for 2 hours in the morning, and that was acceptable, but that was also her like time to get away from it, so she could make peace with it. And she probably did that only for a couple months, but it gave her that moment to where she could just be away from the main thing that was a point of contention, and it really helped her. And I was kind of impressed, because I thought it would be a lot for me, but I'm not a Capricorn, so I don't know if she was a Capricorn. I really don't even know what she was, to tell you the truth. I don't know what her signs were. So thankfully, the outcome is good, but they are warning of something. You have to make peace with yourself. Doesn't mean you have to talk with anybody else, but I shouldn't say you have to do anything. It's very advantageous for you to make peace with yourself. Judgment, and you looking at the situation, just being honest with yourself, what you do and don't like with this situation, and working it out on your terms will bring you a peaceful outcome. This card is kind of all over this reading, and I keep getting it's either pay now or pay later. Your feelings are valid. Whether they match the situation or not, they are valid. And making peace with that and you sorting through those, even though, like, I keep thinking of that guy who, you know, his partner got pregnant and he was having a hard time with it. If he just ignored it and shoved it down, sooner or later it would come out. Especially, I knew him kind of well. So it was going to come out sooner or later. Him finding a way to work it out without causing destruction in his own relationship, I thought that was a good thing. He just had to find his way to make peace with it. And he did. And then he was very thankful in the long run that it worked out. It did take him a couple years, to be fair. It did. But when he was in it, he was in it. And there wasn't any destruction to it. But it was just like pay now or pay later. It's very much there with this situation. And if this is hitting, I feel like they're just trying to make sure that this works in a way that works for you as much as it can. And it's kind of like just knowing yourself enough. Is that true or not? If you're watching this reading and you're like, I don't think this has anything to do with my life, then it doesn't. And there's nothing to worry about. Although if there's some of you watching this and like this is playing out, and I feel like if that pay now or pay later thing really does apply, I feel like you can look back in your own life and you can be like, yeah, I can see where I ignored that, or I didn't want that to be a problem, and then boom, there it went. It doesn't have to be a boom situation. It could be a, all right, I got to start working on this. I got to start mulling it over on my terms. I have to give myself a break from it. I have to find ways to make this sort out and churn it out. The situation, I do feel like as it keeps moving forward, it's going to keep evolving. It's not the last time the situation will evolve forward. I feel like they also want to put that in here. Let me just make sure. 10 of Wands and the Empress. This situation is going to keep evolving. The 10 of Wands is telling me you could definitely be successful with this. I feel like they're also trying to help you with that kind of like, it's not just going to evolve once and be done. It's going to keep evolving. It shouldn't be constant, like every day it's something new, but like it may be like every year, every other year for a while, it might just keep evolving. And as things evolve, they keep changing. If you can see it coming forward and kind of expect it to like things are going to evolve, I feel like that puts you in a power position to be like, all right, this is going to keep changing. All right, this is going to keep evolving. Let me keep my eye open for it. Let me keep my ear open for it so I can try to stay on point with it and try to be in that energy. I feel like if I'm expecting it to keep evolving, I don't get upset every time it evolves. I'm kind of like, oh, I knew it was coming. What's this evolution? What do I need to kind of look at now? But if I'm kind of like, well, that happened there and that was all that was supposed to happen, and then it happens again, I feel like I could be very aggravated with that. So hopefully it's like perception is everything. If you kind of expect it, like, all right, this is this turn of the screw, if you will. I don't know if that even applies here. This is this turn of the handle. This is the turn of the bolt. This is this turn of the wheel. This is this turn of the wheel. That wheel's gonna keep turning. It may not keep turning fast, but you know it's gonna turn again. This isn't the only time it's gonna turn. As long as I'm kind of in that mindset, like it'll turn again. Let's just get through this turn of the wheel, and then I know it'll turn again later. I just feel like I'm in a better place to handle it. But if I'm in that mindset of like, well, it turned this time, but it shouldn't be turning again. Next time it turns, it's gonna really like, it's gonna really, it's not enjoyable. I kind of think of this with like working out. If you start working out and you're like, oh, I'll just do this for 5 minutes, it just seems like that 5 minutes is forever. Versus like, okay, I'm going to do this workout, I'm going to do it for a good half hour, maybe a little more. You know, it just seems to make it's a different thing. Like I'm not, after the first 5 minutes go by, you're like, yeah, I got a lot more going on. So I just feel like it's a different outlook. I don't know if that's helpful. I hope that's helpful. I mean, there's success here. Did I show that? I'm assuming I showed that. Like the judgment in your favor, there's definitely judgment in your favor. There's value to be had, value to be added. I don't think that's in question. I didn't think it was. Maybe that's why I didn't center on it as much. But it's kind of like it's about perception and being ready for it and kind of like, all right, being accepting of it. All right. I'm shut this down. I'm going to shut this down here if I can speak. Thank you for watching. If you'd like a direct reading from me, shoot me an email, jamesforastral@gmail.com. That's James the number 4, astral@gmail.com. If you're interested in the donation information, that's below, same email. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day.